Do you ever find yourself worrying about what other people think about you? Do you hold on to relationships even though they may be unhealthy because being alone is worse? Do you feel like your identity is tied to your job where you're constantly seeking feedback or approval? If you're sitting there thinking, yep, that's me, then you may be dealing with anxious attachment. Today, we're going to be breaking down the trap, which is what you're feeling right now, finding the root and the source from the past, and breaking free and how you can move on in the future. Coming from someone who years ago used to have a very high dose of anxiety medication, trust me when I say that you can get through this. You can become better. You can work on this to break free from those chains. Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Carys, and this is where we talk about how to elevate your life, unlock your full potential, and become the highest and best version of yourself. Now, if you haven't already, I have a full video on detachment, which is where this video is stemming off of. So if you've not watched that yet, I'm gonna leave it linked in the description below. So watch it after this one. All right, before we dive in, I found out recently that almost 80% of the people who watch these videos are not subscribed. So if you find value from this video, then make sure you subscribe and join the family because it really helps support this channel. Also check out the links in the description below because you'll find things like my vlog channel, you'll find my audio podcast, Highest and Best, my Instagram, my TikTok, and all of that good stuff. All right, let's dive into the hidden trap of anxious attachment. According to John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth, there are 4 different attachment styles. There is secure attachment, anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, and disorganized attachment. Today, we are breaking down anxious attachment, but if you want other videos in the future of these other styles of attachment, then make sure you let me know in the comments down below. Now, to summarize anxious attachment, it is the behaviors of being clingy, highly emotional, and always seeking reassurance. But here's the thing, these behaviors can often seem a little bit surface level. However, they are often rooted in a deep fear of abandonment. It's like you're constantly on high alert, or you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. That feeling deep inside of you where things are going so well that you just know something bad is going to happen soon. You're waiting for the dark cloud to come around. And that fear is exhausting. And it's draining, and it's not serving you. So what is really going on here? Well, it turns out that attachment is like wearing invisible chains, and they're holding you back from your happiness, but they're often forged from a long time ago, often back to childhood. Maybe your parents were inconsistent with love and attention. One day they were there for you, and the next day they weren't. Or maybe you experienced significant loss and trauma that made you feel like you couldn't depend on anyone because one day they might be gone. It could have been from family, it could have been from other people in your life as well. There's actually a study that was done in 2014 that looked at the neuroscience of attachment. They found that emotional attachment actually activates the area in our brain that is linked to stress regulation. When we have insecure attachments, it can lead to an increase in anxiety, and it can often lead to chronic stress. Compared to when we have secure attachments, it can help lower our cortisol levels, which is the stress hormone. It isn't just affecting how you're feeling, it's actually altering your brain chemistry. It's affecting your stress levels, and it's affecting your overall health. It was found that over 80% of people who went into the doctors because of something wrong actually ended up having stress being the underlying issue. As we conclude this section, there's a couple of questions that I want you to ask yourself that will help you recognize the patterns. Number 1, when do I feel the most anxious in relationships or in certain environments? Number 2, what specific actions trigger my fear of rejection or abandonment? And number 3, do I seek constant reassurance, and why? This could be from a significant other, it could be from a boss, it could be from a friend, it could be from anywhere. Now that we understand that there is a very hidden trap of anxious attachment, we've got to go back. We've got to figure out the root and find the source. So let's go back to childhood. Here's the thing, from the age of 0 to 7, your brain was in a theta brainwave state. It's like you're a little sponge, soaking up everything that's going on around you. You're forming beliefs, behaviors, ideas about the world and yourself without any critical thinking. It's during this time that those core beliefs about your self-worth, about relationships, and about the world are being programmed into you. When you are in this theta state, you are highly suggestible. Everything you see, hear, and experience is being documented. So if you're constantly hearing, you're not good enough, you have to do this to get this, or I can't be around you right now, guess what? that's probably going to have stuck with you. However, if you were surrounded by messages like you are loved and you are enough and you could do anything that you want to, the way you view yourself in the world is going to be in a very different way. That is why those childhood experiences are crucial. They are shaping your thought patterns, your habits, and yep, you guessed it, your attachment style. It's like your childhood is a blueprint for how you act and behave when you're an adult. Now, here's the thing. You may have had a great childhood in regards to your family environment. I was one of those people, very blessed to have an amazing family, parents, sister, love them to pieces, and I had a great childhood in that aspect. However, my attachment style actually stemmed from being bullied in school. It started young with how I was being treated by others that then was ingrained into my mind, and it constantly bled into the next chapters of my life. I constantly had that feeling that I was not good enough and that I wasn't accepted by other people. And then in my adult life, I had terrible self-worth and I was always seeking external validation. According to experts, people with anxious attachment can actually often look to recreate the dynamic from their childhood in their adult life. So if you had a parent that was sometimes there for you, sometimes not, then you may actually look for a partner later on in life who may be unpredictable or unavailable. It's like your brain is trying to solve the puzzle from your childhood. Or maybe you had to earn your love and praise from your parents. And now as an adult, you crave constant reassurance and validation from other people. It could also show up in your career where you seek constant approval and feedback from your boss to know that you are doing a good job. So what I want you to do is take some time to be silent. I want you to think back to your childhood and think about your family relationships, friends, your relationships that you have with your teachers growing up, caregivers, babysitters, extended family, neighbors. Think about all of these relationships and potential negative ones that could have had an impact on you that would have built this anxious attachment style. As we finish this section, the questions that I want you to ask yourself are: 1, did I feel emotionally safe and secure with the people that I lived with at home? Number 2, was love given freely or did I have to earn it through behaviors and achievements? 3, did I ever fear of being abandoned, rejected, or not being good enough? Number 4, what did I subconsciously learn about love and relationships growing up? Number 5, how did the people who were in my life that were supposed to support me actually treat me? Family, teachers, babysitters. And number 6, do I feel good enough as I am, or do I feel the need to prove my worth? If you need to, pause this video and take some time, because our next section, we're going to be talking about how to break free from this anxious attachment style. One of the first powerful strategies that I want you to focus on is to improve your communication. When we look at anxiety, it is the feeling of uncertainty or anticipation over the unknown. When our anxiety tends to increase, we struggle with actually communicating to people about how we feel or what's going on in our mind. It goes one of two ways. We close ourselves in, we bottle everything up, and we don't say anything, and then our behavior just pushes people away because we want to push them away before they could push us away. Or we go the other way and we talk too much and we just blurt everything out. There's word vomit, and that then pushes people away because you're being too clingy. You have to learn how to express yourself without being emotion fueled. The root of relationship issues, whether it be a significant other, a family member, a friend, a work colleague, that root of the issue tends to be communication. Even when the feelings of anxiety are heightened, you need to learn how to separate the emotion from it, bring yourself down to neutral, and express how you are feeling. What's going on in your mind. I do have a full video on emotional intelligence that can help you with this. It teaches you how to respond rather than react to everything and everyone around you. The second thing that I want you to do is to focus on building your self-esteem. Oftentimes, having certain experiences in your childhood or trauma or things that happened to you It can leave you a feeling of low self-worth. It can also lead you to feeling too dependent on the people around you for your happiness and for your peace. You need to remind yourself that your value does not come from external approval. It comes from intrinsic self-worth. You need to see yourself the way that God sees you. Put your worth and your identity in Him. Nurture your own passions and your own interests. Figure out who you are. Find out what provides you fulfillment outside of being connected to anybody else. Reduce your over-reliance on other people. Show up and do things for you. Next, I want you to challenge negative thoughts. When things come up in your mind that tend to question about who you are, about the things you're doing, you need to ask yourself why you are feeling that. And then you need to flip the script and turn it into a positive thing. When you have anxious attachment, it's very common to spiral negatively. So you have one thought that just pops into your mind, and then it gets worse, and then it gets worse, and then it gets worse, until suddenly everyone's leaving you, you're getting fired, and the world is ending. Something I used to do is that when a thought would pop into my mind that did not serve me, I would just say, no, I do not accept this. And then I would move on. And it allows you to realize that not all of the thoughts that you have are actually coming from you. Challenge and question all of these thoughts that come up. You do not have to claim any of these thoughts as your own. The next thing that I want you to do is to analyze the relationships that you currently have in your life. Is a significant other that you are currently with not actually good for you? And you know it, but you don't want to leave because you don't want to be alone. It happens. I've been there. And you feel like even though it's a toxic relationship, that's the best that you're going to get. Yep, been there. Do you tend to cling on to certain friends in your life too much because of how people treated you back when you were in school? What are these things that you are seeing in the relationships that you have? Analyze and question them. The more self-aware that you are, the better. Next, I want you to practice detachment. Like I said, my full video for this is a game changer, and I'll leave it linked in the description below. Detachment is not about being cold. It's not about having no emotions and not caring about people. Not at all. It's learning to release this unhealthy attachment to people, situations, outcomes. You need to practice letting go control of the things that are happening, and instead trust in your own ability to thrive regardless of the external circumstances. Now, I believe that faith plays a huge role in building secure attachment. Trusting in God's plan and God's timing helps you to release the need for control or cling to relationships for validation. When you surrender your worries and your anxieties and you leave them all at the feet of Jesus, you can find peace and rest in your soul, because you know that He is working everything out for your good. It allows you to trust that God has a purpose for your pain and a reason for the season that you are in right now. Focus on seeing yourself as God sees you, a child of a king. You have His love. It is the only love that you'll ever need. Like Ephesians 2:10 says, we are God's masterpiece. And when you see yourself through the eyes of Him, that we are a perfect creation, it helps you realize that you are more than enough. All of these things that I've talked about have helped in the process. However, at the end of the day, the stronger relationship that I have with God, the easier it is for me to become a better version of myself. Now, to conclude this section, I want to give you 5 questions that you need to ask yourself when you feel anxious attachment rising. Number 1, am I seeking reassurance because I do not trust myself or the situation? Number 2, what evidence do I have that this fear is real, or is it just my past influencing my present? Number 3, how can I handle this situation independently without having to rely on somebody else for validation? Number 4, what would it look like if I just trusted the process, trusted God, and leaned into this discomfort? And number 5, how can I see in this situation that God could be trying to teach me something so that I can become a better version of myself? Because the thing is, when we want to build and be better, when we want to become the best version of us, it's not just like, hey, boom, there you go, you've got it. God's gonna put us in situations where we have to learn it, where we have to figure out what He's teaching us and then put in the work Things just aren't handed to us, but he will put us in positions where we can grow and build from there. If you want to be more patient, God's going to put you in a position where you have to learn to become more patient. If you want wisdom, God's going to put you in a position where you have to become more wise to get through that certain situation. Look at what you are going through. When you are feeling these negative emotions, and ask yourself, what in this situation can I learn from it? What is God trying to teach me so that I can progress and become better? I believe in you and God believes in you. You can do this. If you resonated with this message, I want you to comment below, I am breaking free. And let's do this. If there are any particular videos that you want me to do in the future, please let me know in the comments below and I'd be happy to break things down for you. All right, I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for listening and I'll see you in the next one.